Alright, this is Peter again. I'm going to do a part 2 of the Battle of Ulsan. Oh, my power cable just flew off. Technical issues here. Alright, so we're going to pick up where we left off. Think about this for 1 second. I think we had the Japanese line was at 18 knots. The Russian line had ended up approximately 12 knots. I don't know if we did that entirely correctly. I think they should have ended up probably at 15, but no, we did 2 turns. And then they sped up and then came down. Okay, but we'll just go with 12. At least starting 12 knots will probably come up. Let's take a look at those ships real quick and see what the acceleration is for the Russia. That's crazy. What's going on there? Alright, so the maximum acceleration at less than or equal to 75%. We're at 12, so we definitely can go up 4. So we can go 16. We will go 16 across the board. Double check that they're the same. I believe they are. Okay. Alright, so declaring that the Russians are going to be at 16 knots. I believe we will stay with 18 with the Japanese. I'm not really trying to do this entirely too strategically. It's trying to just get them close, and let's try to get some torpedo fire off so we can have some fun with some torpedoes. One really cool thing that I found was this laydown tool. It was originally designed for playing chess. So for example, if I click on the Russia and I'm on a negative Y, I can boop, 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 boop. I can do 2-degree turns. If I plop it back over to that, I can do 2-degree turns back, which is really nice. I have yet to have had a tool that can do this properly. So what's even cooler is technically I could 15-degree it and then do 1-degree increments, if you will. In other words, I can make odd degree turns by turning 15 degrees and then subtracting what I need to subtract or add what I need to subtract. So basically I can do any single degree mark I want. As you can see up here, the tabletop simulator, the default lowest thing the default lowest rotational degree you can set it to is 15. So this normally, if you can get away with using the 15, go ahead and agree to use the 15. If you really need some, as soon as we start getting closer, right now we are at about, actually we're pretty close now. We're at 3,700 yards here. In the back we are 4,700 yards. I think that was where I was quoting, being about 4,700 yards away. These markers have been pretty good. These markers are used for, again, primary and secondary batteries fire. And we're going to put some names on them too, just in case we start having some, we're actually beyond where that would be useful, for example. I made a copy of these over here so it would be a little bit easier to get to. But as you can see, over-concentration only really occurs at long and extreme range bands, and it's a -1 for each additional ship. So we're within medium now, so we really don't have to really worry too much about concentration. But I'll still use the splash markers for effect, if you will. Also, it's a way for me to know if I fired both at whom and put a marker on there. So we can get a few of these going. We'll figure it out. All right, so we are up to the next turn. These guys are still going 18. Do I want to slow them down? The one thing I will point out in the rules for torpedoes is that while submersible help to aim the torpedoes more accurately, they cannot be fired if the ship is traveling at speeds greater than 18 knots. So that's very interesting. Very indicative or trainable and could be fired at any target within the tube's arc.
So I guess there's no limit when they're not submerged. Let's take a look at torpedoes real quick across the board. Okay, the Gromboy has submerged torpedoes of 38 centimeters. Their ranges and their speed settings are 600 yards or 1,000. I think that's across the board. 600 or 1,000. Bow above water. So the Rosia has above water launchers. So those don't have to worry about speed restrictions. The Russians are only going about 15, what do we say, 16 now. We sped up to 16. Japan. The Azuma. These guys have much nicer torpedoes. Now, you'll lose, you get one in the bow, you get 2 to port and 2 to starboard. Both are above for the Azuma. The ranges are 1,100 yards or 3,300 yards. So in tabletop sim speak for this map, that's 11 inches or 33 inches. That's going to come into effect soon. Because, as I showed before, we're almost there. So if these guys can speed up and possibly, if they can turn, let's think about this a little bit. So if they can turn upwards of about 20 degrees here, well, they have to go forward. Let's go look at that real quick. So the Zumo in particular, they have to advance 3 inches at least on a standard turn, which is really all we would primarily do. Because if you do the hard turns, you have to roll. There's I think it's a 10% chance of rudder issue. Let's go look at that real quick. Just looking at the turning, trying to determine if that's going to be a problem. Where are you, baby? Here's right here. The ship turning distance is above advanced, standard, and hard. Most turns are standard, but in emergency situations, the ship can turn a little tighter by putting it beyond over the stops. The risk of rudder jamming, 10%. If it does jam, treat it as a rudder critical hit. So you kind of don't want to do that unless you really need to. Okay. So let's get on with it. I'm thinking of turning in because I want to be within 3,500, and I want to if I did a straight shot port, we're talking, that's 30, and it can, the speed of it is 15. Alright, let's look at a zoom. If they started firing, I want to fire off maybe the front 2 ships. I want to fire off some torpedoes at longer range and see what the heck happens. Just for some fun. So they're longer range on their Type 32 18-inch gyro straights, 33 inches, and it goes 15 knots. So on the next turn, you plot it. Let's go look at that again. Let's make sure we're going to do that correctly. Oop, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do the order. Tactical turn plotting phase. Right down. If torpedoes are to be fired by surface ships, players should plot ship movement at least 1 turn ahead. This artificiality is required because opposing players may see each other plotting torpedo fire or placing markers down in the planned fire. The torpedoes do not move until following turns movement phase. Right, oh well, whatever. Yeah, I'm not going to get too nitpicky on that. Movement phase. The planned fire phase. All weapons ordered into fire in the current turns are fired simultaneously. Surface gun, okay, and then torpedoes are launched in this phase, but they do not move until. So this is when you put the go marble down. I think I have a couple go marble. All right, so let's just get them in and let's try to get some torpedoes off. See what happens here. I'm not going to use this quite. Okay, this is gonna be interesting. Alright, so let's move the Russians first. They're getting up to 16. I'm going to turn. So let's see. Nah, I want to close there. They're gonna think the same thing. So they need to go at least. Check that again. The Russia. They need to go at least 3 inches, and then they lose 3 per. They've already used their 3 to increase to 16. So they're gonna have a problem. If they turn, they're gonna lose 3. So they went up to 16, they're gonna lose 3. They're gonna come back all the way down to 13 at the start of the next one. I think I'm just gonna go straight. And then that's probably a mistake, but I'm supposed to plot the whole thing. What happened there? Okay, let's look at that turn sheet again. You know what? I'll copy the turn sheet. It's a little easier to get to. Alright, so plug it right down, movement, firing, and other. Okay, so I think we are going to go ahead and fire torpedoes from the front too. Okay, we're going to fire them from their port side. There are 2 torpedoes in the sub. Let's go look at that real quick. Here was the torpedo movement. Fired in the plan phase off. Place 2 counters next to the first one. Okay. Minimum army range. Okay. Then let's go look at the torpedo attacks. Alright, let's try that. We attacked an hour. Okay with that. Range first. Material good stream. Yes, one plus structure travel rubber. Okay. Ship must steer straight. So they have to steer straight. So they're not, they can't, well, they can turn right away, but they can turn immediately. But how do you turn immediately? You can't turn immediately. They have to at least be straight running. You can't turn immediately. You have to go at least 3. Oh, if you went straight, you were already going to. Okay, hold on a second. Let's look at that turning. This turning has to be from the beginning of the turn, though, right? Can't count the fact that you were straight beforehand, right? Let's just look at that real quick. Kind of makes sense that you could, but apparently has to try. Okay. Right here. You still have to advance in that same turn. So, yeah, kind of don't understand that because the torpedo rules. Watch this. The torpedo rules eventually say that you have to. Can't move. I'm going to just say that you just can't turn. On the turn
of the launching ship must steer in a straight line. It is allowed to make one 45-degree turn within normal maneuver at the beginning of the 3-minute timer. Than the first minute. In other words, after. In other words, as soon as possible, right? That's what they mean by that right there. Okay, that's what I needed to see right there. But afterwards must stay. In other words, they can do it like right away, like right after the 300 yards or the 3 inches. But okay, we're gonna stick to it here. These guys are 18. Do they want to do that? They might not want to do that. I don't think they will want to do that. These guys might fire. He's here. He has a port fire, and he's not gonna. He might. He might get it if he's there. Let's see if we can determine this. Okay, what we're trying to do is determine if he fires the torpedo. It won't fire here. It's gonna fire. Yes, it will leave here. It will leave right here. Okay, so it's right there. And then it will go 15 for 1. I think I will hit somebody. Okay. There's a pretty good chance I'll hit them. Okay, so I'll move everybody. Try to put it on the angle that's too. As much as I can get it. Right. I'll shoot these guys fire. I don't think they can. Within 10. They have a maximum range of 10, so nope. So let's see what happens. So those are the plotted torpedo firing, and then we're going to do normal firing there as well. Okay, so things are about to get interesting. Okay, these guys really should have turned. Okay, so they have 45 degree. That one. So what we're going to look for is if the wings can fire here. No, the wing, the rear, the port. Okay, let's look at this. This is the. Let's take care of the Russian primary and secondary, and then we'll do all this firing for this. So the Russian, the Russia has port wing, starboard wing, port aft, and starboard west. So port wing and port aft can both fire. Okay, that's your primary. So that's 2 primary fires. First primary. 58. No, it's not going to hit. Second fire. 98. Nope, that's not going to hit. That's the primaries. The secondaries. Russia. Bow and stern are not going to make it. Let's look at the bow stern is 20 degrees. So the 20 degree mark. Nope. So you can only fire like that or like that. So those are not going to make it. Now the casemates Russia. Port side, 7 of them. Casemates are done at, they're done at 20 degrees or 45 degrees from there. We need to go look at casemate range. We're just going to arcs. Starboard report, I believe, but I think it's a starboard report. It's the 45 degree angle one, and I think that's okay if we were to target the Tokiwa. I think that's who we would target. Okay. So that those are the primaries that shot and missed. Here's the secondaries. So, yeah, that is pretty much the casemates firing. Okay, I think that's fine. I guess technically I probably could have fired on the Azuma. We'll go ahead and concentrate here for now. Missed it anyway. I need to go double check the casemates. Make sure that they are in that. Actually, it's probably just the round of the darn sheet. What the heck am I now? Of course, this is casemate. Check. Gunnery. I just want to make sure that the casemates are done with this and not this. I think it's this. Pretty sure it's that. Because you don't have enough arc, so yeah, it has to be that. Alright. Misses anyway. Okay, so these are all misses. I think for this ship we will do similar. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to fire primary. Boom. There will be, no, we're not at a range where it'll be a problem. Firing on the Tokiwa with the Gromoboy primary. On the primary, let's just double check. And it's port wing, starboard wing, port aft, starboard aft. So we get 2 turrets, 2 primary rolls. First one gets a 21. Let's make a card here. let's just do the rolls for starters, and then we'll figure out the modifiers if we. That roll, that one is probably worth at least checking. Ooh, 10, I think I got that one. The port wing. The, excuse me, the port half, I believe, might have it. And then we'll definitely, so that first one I don't think got it, but the second primary one might, right? These will roll really roll. Okay, so then we're going to do balanced turn. That's not going to do it. Casemates 7 at this quickfire. We do have quickfire mods on this. We need to make note of that when we do